We're at it again. Okay, this is episode 23. We've been doing this 23 days in a row, which is super cool. And today we're going to look at the rest of the challenge that we looked at from last week. And we're also going to show you a really cool project by Jay, who sent the links around the Slack channel the other day, but built some really cool UI animations for a concept project that he made. So let's just do both of those, all right? Let's switch over to Flow. Let's get the challenge out of the way first, okay? Here we go. And this was the animation that we created last week. All right, little rainbow, animating in and animating out. And just to recall, what we ended up doing is we ended up using the stroke start and the stroke end points to animate these shapes. So the stroke end animates from 0 to 1. You get that full arc, just like that. And then there's a little bit of a gap for all of them to catch up. And then they all animate from their stroke starts from 0 to 1. And the stroke draws out like that, okay? And the challenge was to do this with a dash pattern. Now, why should we do this with a dash pattern? Again, this comes down to perception, all right, and technique. There's almost always more than one way of achieving the same aesthetic. And here I'm going to show you one that's identical, and it just uses a different technique. And it's always great to be able to understand or to be able to look at something and say, yeah, I can animate that in 2 or 3 different ways. Because maybe the first time you try something, it doesn't quite work out. And you're like, I know I can do it a different way. So let's go and do that. It also starts to reinforce like the ability to think, okay, not just about let's recreate something, but it just gives you a few more metaphoric tools in your metaphoric toolbox for being able to do things. And then at the end too, there are certain animation engines, and I can go into this in another Flowcast, but really, whenever you're looking at an animation on anything in particular, there is something driving that animation. For QuickTime, if you're looking at a movie player, QuickTime, VLC, etc., some web player on Vimeo or whatever, the engine isn't so much a calculation of the creation of the animations as it is, let's play those frames, which are images, in a sequence at 30 frames a second or whatever we have. Okay, and so you're starting to get these like animations by individual images appearing after one another. But when you're exporting to code, if you are exporting to Lottie, or if you are doing things on the web, or you're exporting something that's really performant for iOS, right? There's software that drives that thing, and the rendering engines for those are all totally different. The way that iOS makes animations is different from the way that HTML drives animations, and it's different from the way that Lottie calculates things and creates it. And even on the web, there's SVG animations and CSS animations and JavaScript animations. And so the engine that is driving that, it can even differ depending on whether or not you're on Firefox or Safari. The engine that's driving that might have some limitations. And so in particular, this other reason why we want to look at this stroke start and stroke end is because you can export a dash pattern animation to HTML, but you can't export a stroke start and stroke end animation to HTML. And you can kind of do the dash pattern with iOS. So it's always good to be able to know what you're animating for and have a couple of different ways of getting that aesthetic specifically into that platform, okay? So a lot of reasons why we're doing it today, and that was kind of long-winded. I thought that was going to take me a lot less time to explain, but let's just get into it and continue looking. Okay, so our animation, again, looks like this. Animate all the way out and all the way in. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to duplicate our timeline. We are going to right-click on the timeline name, and we are going to hit duplicate. And we are going to call this dash pattern. Okay. And now what we want to do is we want to set up our animation like this. Okay, we're going to remove all these dash pattern animations. I'm just pressing Option and clicking on that little arrow opens everything up. We're going to select all. And we're going to move things to the side like that. We are going to delete. What are we going to delete? We're going to delete the stroke starts. What do we want to see? We want to see. Let's go like this. This is what we want to see for now. So let's just delete. I pressed undo, and now I'm just deleting all the first key values of all those things. And now I'm just going to delete the last key values of all those, because I want to be able to see this arc. Okay, see the arcs. Because dash patterns, unlike stroke starts and ends, are measured in points. All right. Where a stroke, like if you have a line that's this long, 0 is at the beginning and 1 is at the end. Okay. The dash pattern is actually in points, and so to have a gap as long as your shape, you need to know how long that shape actually is. And if you're curving, okay, that length gets really, really long. So this is the easiest way we can calculate the gap that we need to make the arcs animate in and out. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the beginning here at 0, and I'm going to select C0, the first arc. And I'm going to scroll down to the dash pattern, and I'm going to turn on relative mode. And I am just going to press Shift and up. Or I'm going to give it a 1 point. I'm going to give it a 1 point dash pattern, just like that. So it's like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 dash, 1 gap, 1 dash, 1 gap. And I'm just going to press Shift, and now in this pattern down here, in this little text field with it selected, I'm just going to hold up. Okay, and it's just going to make that gap a little bit bigger for me, just like that. And you see we're starting to get that gap that comes that dash that comes all the way in to the end. And so we can tap, tap, and tap, and there you go. So our pattern now is a 157 gap, or 157 dash, and since we don't have anything here in the gap, it's a 157 gap, 157 dash, 157 gap. That's what's going on right now. We're going to do the same thing with each one of these. So we can start at 157 here because we know that it's a longer arc than our previous one, and I'm just holding up, and we're getting really close, and tap, tap, tap. It's 220. Okay, so this one I know can be 220 because it's longer. The arc is longer, right? Just tapping up, and $282, $283, and like if you notice, just at 282, and I don't know if you can see this on the screen, right? But there's just this tiny little gap right in there. So a shape isn't necessarily going to have an exact point value for its length. So the length here is probably 282.3, 282.4. So we're just going to bump up that dash so that it covers the entire shape. And C3, again, we know that's 282. We can just guess it's 300 here and speed that up. Just press up again, same technique. See, we're getting close. 1, 2. See that tiny little gap right there because it's not quite even right in there. We'll press up one more time. We'll make this 346. Enter. And then here's the last one. Let's just try, I don't know, 380 to start. And we are pretty close. Let's go all the way up. My keyboard's a little stuck. And there we go. 408. Okay. So now our animation, if we look back at, so we have our arc in place. We know what our dash pattern is. It's now time to animate that thing. If we go back to stroke dash endpoints or stroke endpoints and we press play, it animates in and then it animates out. It animates in for a half second. Each one of them is a half second. Then there's enough time for all of those to animate fully, which is 0.9, and then it animates out, and each one has a half second animation again. All right. So let's go and recreate that now in our dash pattern timeline. So switch back over to the dash pattern timeline. We're going to go to the beginning of our animation. we're going to turn off relative mode, and we are going to set our offset to the same value as our dash pattern. So let me just show you here. I'm going to press up, 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 up. And you see how it's coming backwards to the beginning? It's not actually coming backwards to the beginning. It's offsetting the pattern. It's offsetting the pattern of the animation. So if this is the beginning, okay, if this is the beginning, then you have this dash of 157. So at 157, that dash ends. Okay, and what we're doing is we're offsetting the beginning of the animation to this point, or the beginning of the dash pattern to this point, and bringing it back to the beginning of the shape itself. So that's why it appears like it's going backwards, but really it's actually kind of going forwards. It just appears to be going backwards. Okay, so, and as we press up a couple more times, what you're going to notice is that as we get closer to that dash value, we're getting closer to the gap completely taking over that shape. So we're just going to hit 157 right here. And we're going to do that for each one of these. Oops, undo. Same animation. Offset is 220. Select the next one. 283. Select the next one. 346. And then we'll select the last one. And if I remember correctly, it's 408. 408. Now, we had relative mode off, so if we press play, they are all going to animate in at the same time. Okay, just like that. Now, we're going to take those animations, we're going to make them a half a second each. Just like that. And there's our animation, and we can stagger them, but I don't actually want to stagger them right now. What I want to do is I'm going to go out to let's see, another half point. Let's say we go out to 1, and we're going to make the last half of the animation. So if we started at 157 and animated to 0, we're sort of bringing it backwards. We want to continue the same direction of animation to have the dash reappear. So that means we want to go back further one iteration of whatever value it is for each one of these arcs. And so that means that for C0, if I go up here, right, and I remember that, you know, it was 157 before, we can say it's going to be minus 157. We started at 157, we animated to 0, and now we're animating to minus 157, just like that. And what we can see here is if we do that, right, let's delete this point. Let's undo. I'm actually just going to go and set this to the end, so we're not creating that additional timeline or that additional animation for the timeline. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. I'm going to scroll down on the properties panel, and I'm going to go into the dash pattern offset, and I'm going to hit minus 157. And so now from this moment forwards, it animates back like that. Okay, so we animate in, and then we animate out. That's what it appears to be doing. Fantastic. So we're going to do that for, again, each one of these. This is going to be minus 220. The next one is going to be minus 283. The next one is going to be minus 346. And then the last one is minus 408. And then what we'll do is we are going to select here. We're going to take those out to 0.9. We're going to bring that into 0.14. Okay. And whereas we had staggered animations for stroke start and stroke end, because we're just dealing with the dash offset, we actually only have one animation for, we actually have only one track for each one of these animations. So I'm just going to select this one by shift clicking on it at the last key value. That's going to select all the key values that come before the one that I clicked on. I'm going to lock the duration, and I'm going to change this to 1.8. Okay, I've changed its endpoint to 1.8. I am going to select the next one. I'm just going to drag it out a little bit. I'm going to select the next one, drag it out a little bit, select the next one, drag it out a little bit, select them all, and distribute based on their beginning key values. And now we can drag that out and we can hit play. And there you have it. Oh, I just did it again. Still a rookie, only 23 episodes in. Wow, let's go and do that all again, basically. All right, so I'm just going to press pause. I'm going to undo a bunch of things and get to this point. I think this is where we were. And so we had animated from here to there. Okay. And that was doing an animation for each one of these arcs. Okay. We calculated at the beginning that the dash and the gap should be 157 points for the small one, and that its offset starts at 157. And we animate that offset to this point in time right here at 0.5 to 0. So the offset is going from 157 to 0. All right. And then we create the next set of animations. So it should be like this. What I did is I moved to 1.8, and I said that because we went from 157 to 0, we want to keep going in the same direction. Now we want to animate from 0 to negative 157. And the next one, C1, negative 220. And then the next one, C2, negative 283. And then the next one, C3, negative 346. And the last one, C4, negative 408. Enter. Still on the UI. Now we're going to option drag this out to 0.9 to create that gap. We talked about gaps last week as well. And we are bringing this into 1.4 because this is a half second and this is a half second. Just like the stroke start, this animation is a half second and this animation is a half second. But you notice how here, this is one of the things I was talking about, how we have two tracks for different properties. In our dash pattern, we only have one property we're animating, is the offset. Okay. We're not even animating the pattern, we're just animating the offset value. So we can do this. We can bring this one out a little bit, bring this one out a little bit, shift and click to select everything in that track, bring that out a little bit. And with the duration locked, we're going to say the last key value is at 1.8. Then we're going to click in the timeline. We're going to press Command A, and we are going to distribute, and then we are going to hit play. And there you have your animation with dash patterns instead of stroke start and end points. And now this one would be exportable to the web as well. Okay, so challenge number 2. How do you create a reflection? This one's pretty easy. So let's right click here. We're going to duplicate this. We are going to call this dash pattern reflection. This technique is going to work for both the original animation and the dash pattern one. So we're just going to do it with the dash pattern. So at this point in time, here's our animation. Let's just go here so we can kind of see it a little bit better. We can see the staggeredness of it. And we are going to group. And then I just pressed Command G to do that. And then I'm going to right click. I'm going to right click on that group, and I'm going to duplicate with key values in place. And that's going to create an exact copy of your animation with all of the key values for that animation in the exact same place as they were in the original animation. If we had done the other one, it would have just pasted it right at the playhead. But with the key values in place, everything matches up compared to the first object. There you go. So we're going to take that copy now, which is this one right here. We are going to press Command R because we don't want this to animate. We are going to flip it. And then we are going to drag it down and press the command option to snap it to the bottom of our original group. And then we're going to come up here to the opacity and we're going to make that 0.15. Enter. Well, let's make it 0.25 so everybody can see it on the screen. That's it. We are done. And now we go back to the beginning of our animation by clicking that and we're hitting play. And there is your reflection. I did it again. Oh no. Okay. Too many screens, too many things. Okay, let's do that one more time really fast. I'm sorry for all the duplicating. Let's just do undo. This one was actually really quick. Undo, 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 undo. This was our duplicated timeline. Okay, dash pattern reflection. I selected all the elements, I copied them, I duplicated them with key values in place. And then I pressed Command Option R to turn on relative mode. I grabbed, I had grouped them, so let's just group these now. Let's group these as well. And I grabbed one of those groups, the top group, the one that we had just copied and pasted all the elements of, and with relative mode on, we are flipping that group, just like that. Over here, just do a horizontal flip, and then we shift command to snap that new group in place, and then we changed its opacity to a quarter, or 0.25, or 25%. And then we open that guy up and hit play. Okay. There we go. I think I need to get myself another screen, because I got this one way over here that I look at sometimes to do the flipping between the desktop and my face. And sometimes I get really excited and I just leave it on the wrong one. Okay, so those are the challenges for today. We're not going to look at any more techniques, but what we are going to look at is a really cool project by Jay. He posted it in the Slack group, and let's just move over. Let's move over to live stream. No, we're going to move over to the project on Behance, and we're going to have a look. So definitely making sure that you're not looking at my mug. Here is the project by Jay. Social music, and customize. Let's get don't enable. Okay, let's get rid of those settings. Oh, those lovely cookies. And there's just so many pop-ups in today's modern web. Jeez. You can't just look at things anymore. Okay, so social music. So it looks to me like this is a really cool project by Jay at Flight. And reimagining some new features for Apple Music. And along the way, if you scroll down a little bit, I'll post this link in the video channel in Slack, and it'll be part of the video afterwards on our event on Vimeo and in Facebook. He made some really cool little UI animations that go along with his concepts for how to improve Apple Music. Okay, so there's one video. You scroll down. There's another video here, and I'm just going to burn through these because I actually have them on my desktop. And you keep scrolling down, and then there's a third video right here, which is really cool. So let's go and have a look at them. All right. Oh, there we go. That's the software that I was using. Let's go like this, and let's open them up one at a time. So this is the first video, okay? And what's really nice about that is we notice a couple things. So the video goes like, it animates from here forwards from SharePlay into here. So what you're seeing is you're seeing that SharePlay animation come down right in here. See that? And that's me. That's the end of the video. The other one is a little bit longer, so it's easier to see. And let me just hit play, and I will pause it. There we go. This is really cool right in here. You see this little drop down pulls out from under the selected element, and it shows that Juliet is editing it. You can move it down, and when you let go of it, that little inner pop-up slides right back in like a little drawer. It's cool. And what also is really nice is the label here at the bottom, 4 songs, 13 minutes. It adjusts to the movement of that animation. So let's look at it one more time. There we go. See? Cool. It's really nice right in there. Nice little detail. And then the last one is this one. It's a short one again. I've got a couple of recordings here. There you go. Just the way that this kind of slides in is quite nice. It slides from underneath the original one. Okay? Just a nice subtle touch. It slides from underneath. It's not like the space opens up. It's not like the space opens up and then it fades in. It actually just looks like it fully comes out from underneath the previous one, which is also really cool. And then let's have like, I just want to look at the first one last time because I felt like maybe I was kind of not doing it properly. And it's just a nice way of fading down. Okay. It's sort of like fading the contents, and instead of just like fading them over top of one another, you get this subtle motion of one fading down and one fading up as the other one comes in and becomes prominent. Nice little touches. Okay. So really cool day today. We looked at a project, a really nice project by somebody who had made all the animations with Flow. If you ever have a project that you want to show us, I love seeing things that people are making. Please fire them my way, and we might actually show them. Actually, we probably will show them if that's okay with you. And then we had a look at a couple of techniques, and you probably spent more time looking at my face than you needed to. So I'll even put links in the Vimeo video for chapters where I'm actually doing the animation on the screen. Thanks for your patience, and I will talk to you tomorrow.